Hi, I'm Greg Hassel, General Manager of Sales and Marketing at Open Book Howden, and I'm here with Jonathan Krause, the Community Action Manager for Australian Lutheran World Service, to ask him a few questions about fundraising. Welcome, Jonathan.
Thanks, Greg. Good to be here.
You've been fundraising for about 30 years. Why do you enjoy it so much?
Well, I think there are three main reasons why I enjoy fundraising. The first is the obvious one, that you get to help people. We're feeding people in Africa, welcoming refugees, doing all of those kind of things. The second thing is that you get to meet supporters who want to change the world and make it a better place. There's a lot of cynicism and pessimism in the world, but we get to work with people who are excited and optimistic and passionate, and that's really cool. And the third good thing is I get to draw pictures and tell stories and write letters, and what could be more fun than that?
What would be your number one rule for fundraising?
It's very simple. The number one rule in fundraising is that it's not about you, it's about the supporter. So what we try and do is enable supporters to live out their values through our organisation. Too many organisations, they get trapped into thinking, oh, we're so professional, we did this last year, it's our 50th anniversary, and look at us, aren't we good? That's not what it's about. It's all about the supporter.
So when you're developing a campaign, how do you determine what's going to be the most powerful piece, or what's going to provide the cut through?
When we build a campaign, we're looking at things that are going to jolt people out of the everyday. You know, someone who's a supporter, they might support 6 or 7 charities and they get 10 or 12 communications a year. So you're competing with 50 or 60 different communications at a time. They've got information coming in from a whole lot of sources, so we have to find something that grabs their attention, that jolts them out of the everyday. And so that might be a photo that really touches your hearts. Remember last year there was a photo of a little boy on the beach who was a refugee, and his photo changed the world because so many people were moved by that. Or there might be something somebody says, there might be a fact that just shocks you completely. It's those kind of things that make people react, and you want to create a physical reaction in people.
Are there times that readers get upset reading what you've written or seeing?
Yes, I've taken many phone calls of people who are upset by what we've written, where they've been so shocked and so challenged they feel moved to tell you about it. But I always take that as a good sign because it shows we've cut through. If you don't get any complaints about a communication, to me it shows you haven't really gone hard enough. You've made it too easy. There are terrible things happening in the world, and if you're not shocked by it, then there's something wrong. We have to be upset.
Now, you often have multiple pieces in a campaign. Can you tell us why you do that?
Okay, what we want to do is involve people and engage people. And I like to have people touch things and hold them and have things different shapes, and it's all part of getting engagement and interaction, because ultimately we have to get people to pick up a pen and write on a coupon, pull out their credit card or pick up a telephone. So the more they're physically involved and engaged in the pack, the more likely it is they're going to do that. So what I can do is, we start with the outer envelope. So the sole purpose of the outer envelope is to get people to open it. So I'm prepared to put on an envelope whatever it takes to get people to open it. This one's quite unusual because it has a lot of copy on it, but we had a story we wanted to tell, an urgency, and we wanted to grab people's attention straight away. Now, once people have opened the envelope, the first thing I normally prepare is the coupon. And that's because it helps me focus on what the need is, what the offer is, and making sure people can respond. So if they lose every other part of the communication, they're still able to give a donation. And alongside of that, I will have the reply envelope. Always make it postage paid because it's such a pain to go and post office and get a stamp these days. This way it's super simple for people to put their reply coupon in here. Then I think about the letter, and this is where I have a one-to-one communication with a supporter. We have a few disciplines that we apply here. The most important word in the letter is the word you. So there's some research that says on the first page of a letter you should have the word you or your or you'll maybe 10 to 12 different times. It's actually a good test to go through with a highlighter and put that in here. People who are inexperienced in fundraising might say you should only do a short letter because people are so busy, but the research shows over and over and over again that a long letter will always outperform a short letter, provided it's written well. Simple things you have to do, like get people to turn the page, you have headlines in colour, things underlined. All of these help people who are scanning a letter for the first time and drag it in. People normally look for their name first, then they'll turn the letter over and see who it's come from. They want to know if they can trust the person who's sending them the letter. Then they'll read the PS, so make sure you always put your offer into your PS as well, because that's something that people will read. Then to support all of this information, we'll have a motivation piece normally. This is where we can show people a photo of the person that they're helping. We can give them some information. On this one here, we provide a map and a diagram showing how the money is used. But you don't have to get overwhelmed with this, because 90% of any giving decision is emotional. And it comes from the heart, and the head isn't strong enough to overcome a decision that the heart has made. So I give facts and figures just basically so people think, yep, I've made a good decision, I'm doing a good thing, but I recognise that it all comes from the heart.
So how important is the design and print of a marketing campaign such as this, or a fundraising campaign?
Design is a really critical part of it, and designers won't like me saying it, but their key job is to make sure that people can read what you're telling them. So it's about making sure point size is big enough, the font's easily read, that there's plenty of white space, and that everything directs the reader to go where you want them to go. So design is critical. It's not about being pretty or glamorous or anything like that, it's about getting people to read. Then when it comes to the print side of things, it's meeting the deadline, making sure things are clear, things are in the right position in envelopes, all of those kind of things. So I can do everything correctly, but if it gets messed up at that design and print part, then
it can all fall apart.
Fall apart, and that means kids don't get food to eat and animals don't get rescued. So
I guess with any campaign, time is critical, that things are delivered on time in order to achieve your results.
Timing is really important. The most important time is when there's an emergency happens. So we work in overseas aid, and if a flood happens or a bomb goes off and we need to respond, it's in the news media at that time, and the closer we can talk to our supporters to when it's in the news media, the greater the income result is going to be, which means the more people that we can help. So I need a printer that I can call up on a Saturday afternoon and say, I want to have something printed within 24 hours and in the mail within 48 hours, because I know that can greatly increase the number of people that we can help. And you need someone you can trust and who can make things happen. And it sounds sucky, but that's why I work with you guys.
Thank you. What future innovations do you see in the field of fundraising?
In the fundraising world, the most important thing is to have a personal connection with your supporters. You know, people use the word relationship, and it's probably a bit too grandiose, but you need people who can to trust you, and the more I can help my supporter live out the values, the more generous they're going to be. So I need to know about them and then reflect back to them that I know about them, so they feel they're being treated as an individual. So hyper-personalisation is really important, where I can say, for instance, to you, Greg, great to talk to you today. I hope you make 100 when you play cricket on the weekend, and how are the kids going? And your pet dog, Bobby, is a really cool dog. If I can reflect those kind of things back to you, it feels like we're closely connected, and then you're going to trust me more to be and give more help. So that's one innovation. I think the next innovation is going to be finding the right balance between electronic communication and print communication. People have a tendency to jump onto the latest fad and think, okay, we'll just send emails because it doesn't cost any money. But the reality is, I see over and over again, email has a very small percentage of a response that print mail has. And I think we can make the two things work together. So I might send an email to someone that says, make sure you look in your letterbox tomorrow because I've got an important piece of communication for you. And I might send an email a week later and say, just wanted to make sure you got that piece of mail. So it's making those things work together and being disciplined enough to do it properly rather than chasing a fad.
Terrific. Well, that's been really informative, Jonathan. Thank you for your time. If you'd like to find out more about what Jonathan does and the power of print, particularly in fundraising, read our next edition of Few, which will be out in November this year. Thank you.